Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here.
Good evening and welcome to the February 18th, 2025 Exeter Select Board meeting. As the hour is 6:30, I will call the meeting to order. And the first two orders of business this evening, the second of which would be to have a board interview at 6:50. But first, I would ask that the board entertain going into non-public very quickly. And I would entertain a motion to enter into non-public under 91A 32A.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, for the roll call, please.
Selectwoman Belant. Clerk says aye. Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. The board will be moving into non-public. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Good evening, Exeter, and welcome back to the February 18th, 2025 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. Good evening to my colleagues on the board here, respective town staff, those in attendance, and certainly those watching at home. I'm going to go through the introductions a little slower this evening because we've got a couple of different movable parts here. We do have our full board for the discussion and action items this evening. Two of our board members that are not present here in the Novak room are not here due to being under the weather, and I will introduce them first. They're both on Zoom this evening. We have Selectman Dan Chartrand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
And our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
And thank you both for coming on to Zoom. To my left here in the Novak room, our clerk, Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Nancy Belanger. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Our Town Manager, Mr. Rustine.
Good evening.
Good evening. Our Assistant Manager, Melissa Roy, and our Recording Secretary, Joanna Bartel. Good evening. My name is Nico Papakostandis. So we will, any votes taken during the discussion action items while Selectman Chartrand and Selectwoman Cowan are online will be done via roll call by our clerk. And when we get into regular business down the line, it's my understanding that they're going to log off of the Zoom. It will be the three of us present, and any votes taken at that point will not require a roll call. Before we move any further, both Selectman Chartrand, I will start with you. If you could just state for the record whether you're alone in the room and why you're not able to be present in the Novak room this evening.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself there. I am alone and at home, and I am not present because I really don't want to expose any of you to the creeping crud that I've had over the last few days.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Thank you. And Selectwoman Cowan?
I will +1 on that. I am alone in the room, and I will also not expose anybody to whatever's been plaguing me for a month and a half.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate you coming online for a little bit tonight, and certainly get well soon, both of you. Before we move further, Mr. Dean, could you speak to where we are with snow removal and what we can anticipate tomorrow night?
So we have been, thank you, Mr. Chair. We've been out working diligently on snow removal, obviously more so on the sidewalks today after the storm. Public Works crews, with the assistance of contractors, will be conducting overnight snow removal operations in the downtown area, and that's Water Street, Center Street, High Street to Buzzell Avenue, Front Street to Spring Street, and on Lincoln Street and Portsmouth Avenue, and that's to clear intersections and remove accumulated snow from high traffic areas. Operations will begin at 11 o'clock tomorrow night, February 19th, that's Wednesday, and continue through the night. So please avoid, Public Works asks that people please avoid those areas if possible while that operation is completed. And the work will include the use of heavy equipment and so forth. So they appreciate the patience and understanding we all do of the community while we work to work out of these storms.
And has this been posted on our website and online?
It is up online, yes.
Terrific. Thank you. And I want to thank the public for their patience and really want to thank and show our appreciation for the Public Works crew for a lot of these storms that came back to back to back, and they weren't the traditional snowstorms. There was the rain and the ice mixed in, and we're just really appreciative of the hours that they've put in, particularly over a long weekend, too.
Yeah, multiple multi-hour shifts, yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come up to the mic. No public comment and nobody online. We do have two sets of minutes to approve this evening, the first of which is the January 21st, 2025 meeting and the February 3rd, 2025. Are there any amendments or revisions to either of the minutes?
I have one.
Go ahead, Mr. Chartrand.
There on page 21, we've misspelled Pat Yash's last name. It's Yosha. That's it. That's all I got.
And that was the January 21st
Yes, she made a comment,
Yeah.
and her name was spelled as she pronounces it, but it's Y-O, not Y-A.
Okay. And Selectwoman Belanger?
I have one, same idea, February 3rd.
Okay.
And page 1, 3/4 of the way down, it says, Ms. Belanger moved to nominate James, it's Breland, Breeling.
Okay. Thank you both. Any other revisions? Okay, seeing none, I'll take this up under two motions. I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter regular meeting select board. Strike that. I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of January 21st, 2025 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, for a roll call, please.
Yeah, I'm going to go in my usual order, just so you guys can unmute or plan to unmute. Selectman Chartran,
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan,
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
And the clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. I would also entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2025 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartrand,
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan,
I'll abstain.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
And the clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye, motion passes 4-0 with one abstention. Thank you. We have one resignation to take up this evening. Board will bear with me one moment. It's from the Housing Advisory Committee. We have a resignation from the Dr. Reverend Heath, who unfortunately tendered a resignation based on time constraints. However, will stay on for the 250th Anniversary Committee, which we're appreciative of. So if there are no questions or comments, with regret, I would entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Dr. Reverend E. Heath.
So moved, and may I add, with regret, the chair, Lindsay Sinnott, also express that, and to thank them for all the work they do on behalf of our town.
And I will second and say thank you for staying on the 250th Committee.
So there's a motion and a second. Any other comment? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartrand,
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan,
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger,
Aye.
and clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. We'll move into our discussion items for the evening. First discussion item, we have Cliff Sinnott here for an update on the Energy Committee electric rates. Good evening. Please.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me a bit of time on your agenda. I wanted to update you on the community power, Exeter Community Power. About every 6 months, or exactly every 6 months, the CPC&H, who provides us the power that Exeter Community Power uses, updates their rates. They go for 6 months and then they revise the rates. And they generally run from February 1st to August 1st, and then August 1st to January 31st. So in January, the coalition announced a new rate that would be 8.9 cents. And let me put this up here. But in the month of January, one of the key power providers that CPC&H had contracted with, they were not able to complete that contract. That was going to provide 30% of the power for that next 6-month period. So they had to go back into the market in January, at the end of January, which is about the worst time you can do it, to go onto the commodity spot market and purchase that 30% replacement energy. And as a result, they couldn't get it at that 8.9 cents or better, so they have had to revise that rate, which is effective for just 1 month, and revise it to 9.7. And that's where we end up. You can see the line in blue is called Granite Basic. That's the default rate for Exeter Community Power. And for the first time since we started Community Power 20 months ago, this is now higher than the utility rate, which is 8.3 cents for Unitil. So that's notable. I mean, every rate change we've had since this began, Community Power has always been at or below the cost of the default Unitil rate. Let me show you the history. This slide shows the 5 rates that we've had over time since we started this in April of 2023. At that point, Unitil was extremely high, 25 cents per kilowatt hour, and the CPC&H rate came in a little over 15 cents. It was about a 40%, 39% lower rate. And subsequently, we've had 3 rates, 18% less, 24% less in February of 2024, and then another 18% less in August of 2024, until now. And now it's about 17% more. And as I said, it's mostly due to that issue with the power contract. It was going to be with a renewable power supplier in New Hampshire, and they weren't able to complete the deal, or it went bad at the sort of the last minute. So I expect that in the future, I mean, the history of CPC&H rates is that they're always generally, not always, that's important, generally below the utility. And I expect that after this 5-month period that we're in now, the remaining portion of the 6 months, it'll probably go back to that. But I can't say that for sure. So this is a kind of a good time to remember a couple of things. One is that over the long term, although we expect CPC&H to deliver the sort of the lowest costs of electricity for us for community power, it won't always be true, as is the case here. It's also a reminder, though, that residents, customers in Exeter can switch out of community power if they want to and switch back to the utility if they prefer to do that. I would just caution that remember to switch back, or at least to check the rates, because you can forget. And it'll just stay however you set it for until you change it. So it's easy to change. Go to Community Power website, our Exeter Community Power website. You'll see the rates there, and you can click on a link to CPC&H if you want to switch. It does take about 1 to 2 months to do the changeover, just to be aware of that. Just one other thing to show you. This compares CPC&H's rates in the green line, the one that's usually at the bottom, to all the other utilities, utility rates in the state. And you can see that it's not only true for us with Unitil, it's true for virtually every other utility in the state, that community power is able to get the most competitive rates over the long term. So just to sum up, I would say, community power has been a great success here. The statistics from CPC&H are that we've saved in this community about $1.3 million over the default rate over this 20-month period. And since joining the coalition, that's averaged around $415 per customer over that 20-month period. CPC&H has become very successful in the state. They've grown to have over 200,000 customers, 50-plus communities. And I think it offers Exeter residents the opportunity as well to get access to renewable energy in addition to low rates. So it's been a good thing. And just a reminder that every once in a while, it may not be the cheapest thing you can do. If you've got a minute, there's one other thing I wanted to raise related to this.
Before you do, I think Mr. Chartrand has a question. Selectman Chartrand?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I don't think it's a coincidence. Perhaps it's a coincidence, but I choose not to believe it's a coincidence that the rate on Unitil fell by almost half after CPC&H showed up on the market. They were up so high, and when they started getting competition from CPC&H, they basically halved their rate, and they've held it there all along. So I'll be staying with CPC&H because I think it keeps our other utilities honest about rate setting. Thanks, Cliff.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I do remember that period. Some of you probably do too, 25 cents per kilowatt hour. That was, Unitil had gotten caught in a similar kind of situation where they had to purchase power at a very bad time of the year. And that was partly what drove that rate. The other thing I wanted to raise, and that is some legislation related to this. House Bill 760, just a moment. This has been introduced, and I have some handouts about it.
Thank you.
This legislation was introduced in response to a change in policy at the PUC, which has started to encourage utilities to go out into the spot market, the commodity market, to purchase some, if not all, some of their power. And the issue with that is that that's a risky thing to do. It can be a risky thing to do. The way CPC&H does it, it mixes some longer-term contracts with shorter-term contracts, some for renewable, some for non-renewable, and it's a basket of agreements that they have that gets us through this every 6-month period. The default utility rate is supposed to be the rate of last resort, and traditionally it has been the rate that utilities take and get 6-month contracts for a fixed price. No risk involved, and they have to pay for that. So that's why, it's one of the reasons why utility default rates are usually a little bit higher, because it's a rate that they've paid sort of a risk premium so that it's good for 6 months. What the PUC is encouraging utilities to do is to mix some volatile, sort of more volatile power purchases in with that. And there's nothing really wrong with that, in my opinion. The problem is that they have said that if the utilities misjudge and lose money because of that, then all the rest of us get to pay for that. And that's really the part that doesn't wash, in my opinion. And so House Bill 760 came about to try to fix that problem. And basically, it's a very simple bill, just has a few lines added to an existing part of the RSAs that say that you can't spread those costs. You can't sort of socialize those costs across all customers. So CPC&H has been encouraging communities to support that legislation. I was at the hearing today. lots and lots of support, except for a few, utility, from Eversource and the PUC and New Hampshire Energy Department were not in favor of it, are not in favor of the bill. So I bring this to you. The Energy Committee took this up at their meeting last week and voted to have me send a letter to the committee to support the bill, so I did that. I think it might be helpful for the board to do that as well, because you have a little more sway than one of your committees does in terms of communicating the town's support for it. So there is attached to this a copy of the legislation itself, as well as a 2-page explanation from CPC&H detailing what the change is and how they feel it could affect the viability of community power programs going forward. In short, if the utility default rate, if they're sort of incentivized to choose a low rate because they know that if they lose money on it, it can be spread out to all ratepayers in the stranded costs portion of the bill, then overall it's going to make community power programs less competitive, and it's going to cost all of us. So,
Are there any objections from the board of writing a letter in support?
No, I'm absolutely in support of writing a letter.
Selectman Chartrand, Selectwoman Cowan, any objections?
No, I think we should send a letter.
Okay.
I agree. In my day job, I raise money to fund organizations who are pushing this legislation. So I just want to make that clear. But I am also very happy to work on behalf of the residents of Exeter to push this forward. I think it's really smart policy.
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank
Any
you to
other
the Energy
questions?
Committee.
Yeah.
Are there any other
I have
questions?
none. Thank you.
Julie, Selectwoman Gilman, did you want to add?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to add is that some of that price hike that we had in 2023 or 2024, the big drop in that was because they found, the suppliers found that they had overcharged. And so they brought the rate down so that they could get flatter in that, or sort of giving
Yeah.
back money to their users. So that's one thing to remember about this. And then there's the PUC making their rules up and having it, on the side of the utilities, trying to make community power situations to pay for what they're already doing with the stranded rates, at which we were paying, but now they want us to pay, as they go higher, they want us to pay.
One thing I forgot to mention, or two things. The impact of this for someone who's on CPC&H, this increase will be about, for the average person, $7 a month for the next 5 months. But remember, that rate applies to only half your bill. The other half is the distribution costs that are built in that Unitil charges for maintaining the system and the grid. And so if you look at it, if you hear 17% increase, it sounds like a lot. It's not a 17% increase in your bill. It's probably half that of the bill.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
That's important. Cliff, thank you, and thank you to the Energy Committee, because this has been and will continue to be a win-win, I
Great.
believe, for the community, and we're very happy to send a letter supporting the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. I'm going to ask the board if you'd indulge me to flip-flop the next two discussion items, because we have Principal Bill Rawson here. You know what? And we're thoughtful of your time, and since you're here, we'd kind of put you last because I think you had a conflict. But since you're here,
Where do I go?
either here or there, why don't you come here?
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mr. Chair, members of the Select Board, and Town Manager. I'm curious how many people are watching. Do you have a tally that tells you how many people are?
I asked Exeter TV, they can do that if people are watching from YouTube, but not live through Comcast.
Okay, well,
That's my understanding.
Everybody I talk to is watching at some point.
for those who are watching, good evening, and I appreciate your participating, and hope you find my comments this evening interesting. So thank you for having me. It's really, I've come to this, to the Select Board a number of times, and I always enjoyed it, and I appreciate it very much. The town's been around a lot longer than the school, but together it's been over 200 years, and it's a very important relationship, and I think being here is an important way of my showing on behalf of Phillips Exeter Academy the importance of the relationship. So what I wanted to do tonight was just express some appreciation, inform your viewers a little bit of some of the ways that we try to contribute and be good citizens of the town, and then we have some construction projects coming up, and I think those always lead to a lot of questions, so I thought I might address a couple of those. So if I may, on thank yous, first I just wanted to express particular appreciation to Exeter Police, Fire and Emergency personnel, because there have been a number of occasions where we've required their support, some trying circumstances, some fairly ordinary circumstances, but they're always there, and we're really appreciative, and so I just wanted to express that. And also, the snow removal was mentioned earlier, and I mean, as you know, we're right in the middle of the town, and we have public roads going through our campus in several directions, so we do rely on the town's snow removal. And so I just want to express appreciation for the crews that work through the night and keep the public streets clear so that we can move about our campus. I wanted to say that. I do think it's important. I think sometimes we're a bit of a mystery to people in the town. And so while we're not necessarily a mystery to you, I think it's important for the record and for viewers to know some of the ways that we do try to be strong contributors to the town of Exeter. We've actually had members of the faculty serve on the Select Board, which I think is pretty neat. We upon occasion have the opportunity to open some of our large conference rooms for things like annual meeting of the Exeter Police. It's been pretty neat to have Exeter Police and Fire at our assemblies, to have Maple the Comfort Dog on our campus, and for that matter, to provide some financial support for the Comfort Dog. And other ways that I just want people to be aware of the relationship that I think is really important between the school and the town. It was really tough during the pandemic when we had to close our trails. It's really nice that we have trails that we can share with the community. It was important during the pandemic to try to support businesses as best we could, and we have a couple of big events during the year. We have what we call our Winter Frolic. This is basically a winter, when we go on break, celebration for all of our employees, and we have a Summer Frolic, and each has a significant fundraising component directed toward local nonprofit organizations, local charities. And so I just wanted to draw attention to some of the ways that we're very grateful for the support we receive from the town, and some of the ways that we want to support the town in returns. And I just think it's a very important relationship. Some people think because we're a nonprofit we pay no taxes, but we do pay taxes, and we're happy to do that and help support the state and the town, and we pay taxes, as you know, on properties that are used for residential purposes, such as the principal's house in which I live. So I just wanted to express both appreciation, but also our commitment to being strong members of the town community, and things like Exeter Lit Fest and other things like that. We want to be there, we want to be supporters, we want to be participants. In terms of construction, and then maybe you have some questions for me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. But we built our first dorm and opened that a couple of years ago, the first dorm in 50 years, so that's done, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. The dining hall on Spring Street, it is up and running now. It opened in December, and so that that created some congestion on Spring Street. That's behind us. You'll recall a couple of summers ago, we tore up the lawn in front of the Academy building and sunk all the geothermal wells. Those will come into service when we renovate the Academy building, and that's the next really big project. And there's a smaller project I should mention before I forget. Davis Library, which was the library when I was a student. That, as we, from here, go up Front Street, it's on the left, just to the left of the large library designed by Louis Kahn. We sunk some wells there, and that, so you still see the fencing there. That'll be finished in the spring, and that has created a little bit of traffic on Elm Street, but not so much. The Academy building renovation will start this summer, and it's going to be a big deal, and it's going to take 2 years. Much of the fencing and where the construction equipment will be and so on will be inside the academic quad. So it won't be as visible from the road as tearing up the lawn for all the geothermal wells. But it's a big project. It will take 2 years. There'll be a lot of heavy equipment coming in off of Spring Street. So I just want the town to be aware of that. Of course, we go through all of the approval process and all of that's in good shape, but it's a big project and it will last a couple of years. The building was built in 1914. The previous building burned to the ground. Actually, between the time that Lewis Perry agreed to become principal and the time that he arrived. So, to find that the main building had burned to the ground. And it's never been renovated. It was expanded in the 30s when we introduced our Harkness pedagogy in smaller classrooms, but it's never been renovated, and that's why it's such a big job. It will take a full 2 years. There'll be two big programmatic changes, one of perhaps more interest to the town than the other. We will have a new design lab makerspace in the basement of the lower level facing the north, but we're going to expand our assembly hall, which currently seats a little over 1,000, to seat 1,300. And this will make it easier for us, I think, to have assemblies that are open to the public, which I think will be really nice. And also, that assembly hall was last renovated, believe it or not, when I was a student in the summer of 1969. When we only had about 830, 840 students, and then faculty, of course, and everybody could fit in. Now we can't fit all faculty and students there, so the 1,300 will make that possible. So that's a really big project, and I imagine we'll have some kind of signage. There's a really important sustainability component to this. The Academy building will be geothermally heated and cooled, as is Phillips Hall, which was renovated in 2012, as is the new dining hall, as will be Davis Library when we complete that this spring. We have published now almost 2 years ago our first comprehensive sustainability and climate action plan, in which we express 3 overarching goals, an education goal and some sustainability goals, and that includes reducing our carbon emissions against the 2005 baseline by 75%. By 2031, the 250th anniversary of the school, and we're now at just around 65%. So geothermal has been a big part of this, and makes a lot of noise sinking these 500-foot wells. But the wells are in place now, and they'll go into service when we complete the renovation. So those are some of the things I just wanted to talk about. Be very happy to take questions, but fundamentally I come just to express appreciation to you for your service to the town, for the many ways the town supports the school, and to express our desire to be good contributors to the town of Exeter. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Principal Rawson?
I have a few.
Please.
First, thank you for coming, as always. Always appreciate you coming and talking to us. I do understand, I've read that you're retiring. And so if, in the event this is the last time you've come to the board to share information, I thank you for your service in doing this. Communication is such an important part between the academy and the town. Your newspaper has been hard at work interviewing us, which I've really appreciated. It's the first time that's happened, at least for me.
Terrific.
And to have people of that age being interested in local, how things work locally. They've asked great questions.
Good.
So I wanted to let you know that they're working very hard with understanding local dynamics and how things work. I'm very happy to hear about the expansion. That's something on the select board that we've talked about for several years, ways to try to get the town and the academy to do more things together. So, 200 years ago, we used to invite new people who were moving to town. We put in place as a town. And sometime in the future, I would love to, you have such a great music department and arts department, and I get the emails to go to events, and it's really wonderful. Hopefully in the future, we could do something more with the town and the academy, outdoor play, something. So I would hope that we can work.
2026 is coming up.
We could work towards something like that in the future. And it's always wonderful to be invited to assemblies.
Yeah.
Just the historic feeling of the building in and of itself is wonderful, so.
Yeah.
And construction, I tried to check out as much as I could when the food hall,
Dining hall.
Yeah.
was being done, and that was one of the comments we made during the planning board, because I'm the planning board representative, about construction, people parking and taking up downtown parking, and I never really noticed that or had any complaints of that, so I thank you and the academy for being conscientious of things like that, and I'm sure it will continue with your next construction project.
Well, thank you. We're not perfect, so if there is a time when a complaint is appropriate, please come reach out to Mark Layton, who runs
Communication,
facilities,
right?
or Paul
Yeah.
Gravel, or me, or any number of people. We'll want to know right away and be responsive. There are a couple of times when the construction crews started a little earlier than they were supposed to, and so we try to be responsive. I will tell you, this is not my last year. Next year is my last year.
Right.
So I will be back.
Perfect.
Oh, you will.
Yeah,
So
I
you're not
think-
on a regular schedule,
Yeah.
so I
No,
just
but
want to thank you.
I think I should be here at least once a year, and maybe more often, depending on what's happening. So, and I enjoy coming, and I enjoy hearing the entire agenda. I learn really interesting things. So I'll definitely be back, and I appreciate
Good.
your kind words, and hopefully my successor will come as often as I have, and care
Hopefully.
just as much about the relationship between the academy and the town as I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I checked off my list.
I have comments, no questions. Well, thank you for staying another year, because I'm sitting on, or leading the charge on the 250th anniversary of the country, and we really want to have something with the academy as part of it, not just the 4th of July, but something, sometime in the year.
Yeah.
And then I have a fun fact for you. In doing some research for a grant a long time ago, the cornerstone for the Diamond Library was set at the same time as for the Tuck High School for boys down on Linden Street.
Wow.
And the same architectural firm and/or architect built or designed the Diamond Library, the Tuck School, the Academy Church, and the public library on the yellow building on Front Street.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
Certainly, we should find opportunities to explore more ways that the school and the town can work together, to both your comments. And, people, residents from Riverwoods, for example, come to concerts all the time. And it's great, I think, to see people from town come into things like that, and for people from the academy to know what's going on in the town, and to go downtown and participate in things like the Lit Fest and so on. So that's all really something that we should continue to explore.
I don't know, Selectman Chartrand or Selectwoman Cowan, if you have any comments.
Just thank you for your being here tonight, Principal Rawson, and thanks for your partnership with the town. You've always been very forward-thinking and being a great partner, and I thank you for that.
Well, I thank you for your service and hope you feel better. Thank you for keeping us all safe this evening.
Selectwoman Cowan?
I'll just add my own thanks here for all of the work that you've done. It was really important. The partnership, excuse me, during COVID, and I think that increased thoughtfulness around ways that we can all collaborate will benefit everybody. So thanks again, and congratulations. I'm glad we have you back for one more year.
Well, thank you, and I hope you also feel better. Thank you very much.
Actually, I do have one question. A long time ago when I was a senior in high school.
Let's not get into a competition.
The school and the academy had an agreement that if a student wanted to take a course in either one, that you just switch. Like I took calculus at the academy because it wasn't offered at the high school.
Oh.
And we had somebody from the academy that came and did our senior play because they liked that play better than whatever was going on at the academy. I just wonder if that's symbiosis, if that's the right word, is still going on.
Yeah, so I'm not aware. It perhaps was easier,
When there
was
were
the
less
high school then
students.
within walking distance?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I
That's
remember
true.
when the high school was just down the street.
Yeah. I forgot about
So
that.
I'm not aware that we're doing that now. There are ways, for example, I see Exeter High School athletes out on our playing fields. You know, some of the lacrosse players really like to be out on the turf during the summer, for example. So there are ways that I see Exeter High School athletes on the facilities,
Sure.
but I'm not aware of crossover in things like theater, dance,
Well,
math courses, and the like.
When
Theater.
I was in high school, it was art. Some of our art classes, we had exhibits in your art gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah, the school moving I forgot about, and the expansion of your student body too has made a difference. So
Yeah.
that's good.
So I'm not going to repeat what everyone else has said, but it has been, it's been really rewarding this year to have, folks that work with your student newspaper contacting us about the deliberative session and understanding how the budget works, and just the professional manner in which they interview us for their articles is just it's really nice to see. And when Bill Jordan brings his class in and packs the room, and we'd like to see more of that. So
All right.
if you could deliver that message, we'd love having everyone in here, and certainly being available for interviews and questions. And on a personal level, we started working together during COVID.
Yes.
We talked on the phone and offered to meet each other, socially distanced and all that. And that's when we started this, having you come in a couple times a year. And I think it's so important for us to get updates on the work that you're doing, because we do have a partnership in town, and we're so appreciative of what the students bring to our downtown, and vice versa. So I know that this will continue for the next year or so, and hopefully with your successor as well. So thank you very much for this collaboration. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you. I remember that call very well, and I will pass on your comments. I actually attended one of Mr. Jordan's classes last week. It was a lot of fun. And I know the new editor-in-chief of the Exonian. He's a really terrific young man, succeeding a really terrific editor-in-chief. So I think they'll be pleased to know of your interest and your kind words. Mr. Dean, I remember visiting with you in your office my first summer here, and visiting Chief Poulin, and I learn a lot when I do this, and it helps me do my job. So I'm very grateful for the time that you've given me. And I learn a lot when I come to these sessions as well. So if you'll have me, I'll keep coming.
Terrific. Well, that's what we want to hear. Thank you.
All right, very good.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
If you
Thank you
don't
for your
mind, I'm
time
going to
tonight.
hang around a little bit and
Please
see the rest
do.
of the program. Thank
Please
you.
do. Okay, our last discussion item this evening is continued discussion on the TIF Advisory Board and the committee charge. The board had some questions after our last meeting. Mr. Dean, you were going to go back with some homework, and I think you've written a memo if you want to summarize that, and I think we probably still have some questions, so.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Chair. I did write a memo for the packet this week, basically outlining the composition of what the TIF Advisory Board may look like under RSA 162K. A draft charge is in the packet as well. that discusses the role of the TIF Advisory Board and what they would do. TIF, for those of you who might be tuning in right now, is, for the first time hearing this, is Tax Increment Financing District. We have a tax increment financing district out on Epping Road, and in order to help govern that process, there needs to be an advisory board in place to be able to do that. So one of the provisions of the advisory board composition is that 3 members are to be property owners or occupants of real property within Exeter, and then 1 member must be a property owner or occupant of real property within the Epping Road TIF district. So the advisory board's responsibilities were laid out in the draft charge, along with a resolution, because the 162K, the law that covers this, authorizes the select board to adopt a resolution outlining changes or outlining powers and duties and responsibilities of the TIF Advisory Board. So it's a little bit complicated, but I believe this lays it out in such a way that it would allow us to get the advisory board up and running and get it working the way the statute intended to do.
Can you also comment, I think there were questions last week about who would be responsible, or not responsible, who would oversee the finances?
So the district administrator is appointed by the select board and has specific powers and duties laid out in 162K13, which is also a part of the packet. And the short answer to the question was the town manager would be the district administrator and have authority over those powers and duties, and be responsible for working with the TIF Advisory Board and ultimately the select board on any TIF initiatives.
So were you the person designated when this was first? I was going through literally all kinds of, and originally it did say it would be the economic development director. But did we ever actually appoint someone to be?
I don't think
in that
anyone
role?
was actually formally appointed.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Right.
Okay, so I am fine with that. I just have some suggestions. Do you want me to start or have Dan?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm okay with that. I understand there has to be 5 members, but because DPW and the planning department is involved, can we add 2 other people not voting, or does it have to be limited to 5? Let me just explain where I'm coming from. I just think it would be a good idea to have a representative from DPW who is responsible for the maintenance of the road and in that area, and the planning, somebody from the planning department, whether it's Doug Eastman as our zoning enforcement officer or someone. Is that possible?
We can have them attend the meetings,
Yes.
certainly.
Yes.
And not be actual members of the
Right, but
TIF
they
Advisory
can
Board, but they
answer
can
questions, weigh in.
be resources for the board.
Resources, perfect. Okay, so that was one of my questions. I was looking for status updates, and it was supposed to be done yearly, but I went through our annual report.
Right.
The last one I saw in the annual report was from 2019. So I do want to make sure that this time around, we do follow that, because that's a
Yes.
requirement. I'm also wondering if the board would support that we have status updates, quarterly status updates on where the TIF is financially. I think that would be an important thing for the board to see. And finally, the terms previously were for 1 year.
Right.
And this memo, this charge, and doesn't say anything about terms.
Right, it proposes to stagger them. So one would be 2026, one would be 2027, and 2 would be 2028.
Okay, so is there a reason why we're going to stagger them instead of doing the 1 year terms as previously done?
Just so board members will rotate off, not the whole board at once, but members would rotate off at different intervals.
Okay. That's it for me for now.
Okay. Selectwoman Gilman?
Nothing yet.
Okay. Selectman Chartran?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm comfortable with the charge as it's drafted, and I'm also comfortable with all of Selectwoman Belanger's suggestions, so I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Selectwoman Cowan?
Same. I'm good. Thank you.
Did you have anything, Selectwoman Gilman, before?
I just have to read the one sentence in here about the district administrator. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
There's some work in here that this board should do about what responsibilities we want to allow the district administrator to do. So that's under the 162K13. So we should take a look at that, and I don't know if we want to form a separate mission just for that person.
Well, the way I read it was that we could either do a separate department or
Corporation.
use a department or corporation, which I don't think we really want to go down that path, but we could use a current department. So I was kind of struggling over if we wanted planning to be that department, but I'm fine with the town manager doing it as long as DPW and someone else from planning or zoning are in the meetings, weighing in. I at least am comfortable with that. But yeah, I came across that.
There's 9 different things, and that, where's the name gone? The administrator can do if we provide the authority for that. And we may want to, we may not. And I think people should take a look at it. Some of it is sort of like making us landlords, so that's probably not very attractive. But anyway, that's my only comment.
Okay. Selectman Chartran?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question about the powers and duties section, number 3. Isn't it true that any proposal would be presented to the select board for approval to go on the warrant? So is that in some way duplicative or unnecessary?
So that comes right from the statute, right from 162K. And basically the statute, for whatever reason, presupposes, I think, that there may be a conflict between the advisory board and the district administrator over some particular issue, and sets up the select board as the referee in that process. I think my vision for this would be that all transactions of high-level magnitude would come through the select board anyway, through the district administrator. So that is the way we would do it. And then, as you said, Dan, on to the warrant from there. So I don't think that there will be this kind of conflict that it talks about. But it does, I built in a clause in this that says, basically, when there is a conflict, the proposal shall be presented to the select board for approval. And
I'm asking my question because the way we've done it up till now, the TIF Advisory Board, which has functioned and not functioned over the life of the TIF, and the district administrator, which has never been appointed, they've always brought it to the select board. So I understand you're pulling language from the statute, but I don't like the implication in there that the TIF Advisory Board and the district administrator, if they are in agreement, can move on without the select board. Do you see what my issue is?
Yeah, and I don't think that was the intent.
But can we?
No, I understand that, but it could be read that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
So let's take another, I agree with you, Selectman Chartran, if we could take another stab at that, Mr. Dean.
Sure, we can do that.
That's the only thing. As Selectwoman Gilman was talking, I realized, oh, that's not how we've done it. and I understand you're trying to use the language of the statute there. But yeah, maybe we can just make sure the select board is always in the loop. That'd be great. Thank you. Sorry to take up more time.
No. I'm glad you brought that up. So as a board, how do we, I'll speak how I feel. I know we wanted to move this along, but Mr. Dean, if you could clean this up one more time and incorporate Selectwoman Belanger's suggestions, adding Public Works and Planning as staff to the committee, and
Quarterly status update.
the quarterly status update. Selectwoman Belanger, I believe we're okay with the staggering of the,
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
The quarterly update to the select board and then the yearly.
and then obviously making number 3 more clear as suggested by Selectman Chartrand, so that everybody understands and there's no confusion, no questions, and I believe that will make it completely transparent to the public.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just to be clear, the planning and DPW, they're participating as advisors, not members of the board, correct?
That is correct, as staff, right?
Got it. Advisory staff. Thank you.
And I would think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would think that their attendance would be as needed.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
And like, do they need to be at every meeting if there's, like we've done? we do that with
Whoever's going to
other-
put the agenda together, I would imagine be determined
Yeah,
based on that.
yep, agreed. Okay.
Okay,
So can we bring this back March 3rd?
we can.
One last try?
One last try.
All right, thank you. Anything else before we move into regular business? All right. Selectman Chartrand and Selectwoman Cowan, thank you for joining us for the discussion items, and I hope you're both feeling well very, very soon.
Yes.
Thank you. See you soon.
And thank you for being considerate.
Thank you both.
Feel better.
Okay. Joanna, for the reflection of the minutes, please note that the board moving forward for the remainder of this meeting will be Selectwoman Belanger, Selectwoman Gilman, and me, and all votes will be taken without roll call. Thank you, Cliff. And with that, Madam Clerk, I will turn it over to you.
All righty. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I move to approve a tax exemption for MAP 104, Lot 79, Unit 519, in the amount of $152,251 for the tax year 2025.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 3-0.
I move to approve an elderly exemption for MAP 64, Lot 105, Unit 32, in the amount, sorry. I move to deny an elderly exemption for MAP 64, Lot 105, Unit 32.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 3-0.
I move to approve an elderly exemption for MAP 32, Lot 12, Unit 26, in the amount of $152,251 for the tax year 2025.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh,
We have,
motion passes.
sorry. We have no solar exemptions this week. Veterans credits, I move to approve a veteran credit for MAP 99, Lot 34, in the amount of $500 for the tax year 2025.
Second?
Motion is second, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
I move to approve a tax abatement for MAP 27, Lot 13, in the amount of $932.20 for the tax year 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
I move to approve a tax abatement for MAP 64, Lot 105, Unit 26, in the amount of $307.77 for the tax year 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
I move to approve a tax abatement for map 64, lot 105, unit 39, in the amount of $120.97 for the tax year 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve an abatement for map 72, lot 64, in the amount of $766.75 for the tax year 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve a tax abatement for map 95, lot 64, unit 287, in the amount of $782.76 for the tax year 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I think you skipped one,
Yeah.
Which one?
the right above it.
87, 8. I move to approve map 80, tax abatement for map 87, unit 8, lot A22, in the amount of $211.70 for the tax year 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to deny,
No,
am I on the
one
not
above it.
366?
Yep.
Okay. I move to approve a tax abatement for map 104, lot 79, unit 955, in the amount of $386.04 for the tax year 2024.
Any discussion?
I have to,
Seeing none, all those in favor?
I have to
Aye.
second first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was in a rhythm. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now you got
Opposed?
me all
Motion carries.
confused again. I move to deny tax abatement for map 104, lot 79, unit 600.
Oh, second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve an abatement for map 64, lot 41, unit 2.
63?
60.
I need new glasses.
41.
I move to approve, let me amend that. I move to approve an abatement for map 63, lot 41, unit 2, in the amount of $2,063.64 for the tax year 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to deny an abatement for map 11, lot 18, unit 21.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to approve a tax abatement for map 71, lot 38, in the amount of $948.21.
Tax year.
Tax year 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And I move to deny a tax abatement for map 91, lot 31.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I move to accept a timber tax for map 46, lot 7, unit 2, in the amount of $1,273.03.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Sure.
Mr. Bisson, the moment of truth. You've got some good news for us.
I do, but
Wonderful.
I do want to thank Bill and PEA. One thing that wasn't mentioned is they open up their indoor track to our seniors every Tuesday.
For walking.
We had 41 of them walking in this bitter cold weather today. So
Wonderful.
They enjoy going to the track and they walk it, and it's we've invited Exeter TV to kind of highlight the partnership. So.
Thank you for adding that in.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And thank you.
Oh, the seniors love it, absolutely. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I am here today to officially have you accept some donations for the Planet Playground ADA enhancement. We are excited since you've authorized us to do some fundraising, to have several organizations step forward and with tremendous outpouring of support, exceeding our minimum goal of $27,000, and we're up. It should be. We've raised $37,000 so far. We want to acknowledge these. I'm not going to read them verbatim because I want people to go on, but I definitely want to highlight the names. And really what kick-started this was Victoria's Victory Foundation. Behind me on the left on the wall is a picture of Victoria Arlen. This is her nonprofit, and she has an outstanding story, overcame some health challenges, And really, what this foundation helps is enhance the quality of life for people with mobility challenges. And this was right up their alley. So they bought into this, as well as Victoria's mom, who started Project Walk Boston Ability Center in Stratham. They came on initially each at $5,000. So they kickstarted our fundraising right away. And those that don't know, Jacqueline and Larry brought Victoria over to this similar program in San Diego, and she was doing strides, but obviously they weren't going to relocate to the West Coast. So they brought it back and they started a facility here, and it really made some impacts for people that had some severe problems, and really some of them learned to walk again, like Victoria. So it's a great thing. Following that, Annie's Angels immediately hopped on. They wanted to help us. So they are also the fiscal agent of the second fund, is the Amanda Renando Autism Assistance Fund. Both of them came in pledging $2,500. Just to give a little things, Annie's Angels Memorial Fund is a nonprofit based out of New Hampshire as well, dedicated to assisting families facing financial hardships during the life-threatening diseases, illnesses, and disabilities. So for this is one of the things, again, they're about improving quality of life for our residents. And if everyone remember the story, Amanda Renando was the wife of a former police officer here that passed away suddenly. She had a passion for teaching applied behavioral analyst therapist for kids with autism. So that's one of the things that fits this as well, because one of the ADA accessibility things is obviously autism. We want to make sure we meet the needs of everyone. So those two funds helped, but then the big ones came in, which we are very surprised about. The Exeter Area New Car Dealers Association is a nonprofit coalition of our business owners here, pretty much located on Portsmouth Avenue. I have the list of every car dealer. I'm not going to read. They were great. They invited me into one of their meetings, and immediately, and within that afternoon, they pledged $12,000 to go towards this. So it's been a great partnership. They also sponsor 2 of our summer camp scholarships, so I want to keep that out there as well. And then the Exeter Area General Federation of Women's Clubs. They have been a big partner of ours for the last couple of years. We meet their mission. They volunteer for us at our Sweethearts Dance. They've sponsored summer camps, summer scholarships, but they're about improving the community. I mean, we have their environmental club that helps plant Stewart Park. I mean, we have the little library at the rec park that's maintained by them. So they stepped up and they pledged $10,000. So I had a whole list, and Mr. Chair, I didn't put a motion because I didn't know how you'd want to accept each one of these donations to this.
Well, I think first, we need to acknowledge the individual businesses in the Exeter Area New Car Dealers Association, which is composed of Voss Motors, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Holloway Automotive Group, Mercedes-Benz, Seacoast Volkswagen, Exeter Subaru, BMW of Stratham, McFarland Ford, Hurlburt Toyota, Autofair Nissan, Wentworth Motors Volvo, Honda Barn, and Porsche Audi of Stratham. So thank you. They should be acknowledged.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have anything else, or?
We're continuing fundraising, and hopefully if anyone's watching and wants to donate, we're still taking donations. You can find flyers located here at the town office, the library, as well as downtown.
Okay. And this is a total of $28,000, correct?
This is a total of $37,000.
Okay. I'm looking at, let's see. Okay, I read that wrong. I'm sorry. So $37,000
$37,000.
that we're going to accept this evening.
Correct.
Okay. So I've crafted a motion that I think will be appropriate, but I have one question for Mr. Dean. These donations are managed by the Finance Department?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to take a try at this, and If I get it wrong, Mr. Dean can throw something at me. I would entertain a motion that the Select Board officially accept the following donations specifically to fund the Planet Playground ADA enhancement, donations to be managed by the Finance Department. And the groups have donated as follows: Victoria Foundation in the amount of $5,000, Project Walk in the amount of $5,000, Annie's Angels in the amount of $2,500, Amanda Renaro Autism Assistance Fund in the amount of $2,500, the Exeter Area General Federation of Women's Club, the amount of $10,000, and Exeter Area New Car Dealers Association in the amount of $12,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I
Go
would
ahead.
like to just thank the Rec Advisory Board. Parks and Rec, you all do a wonderful job. The Rec Advisory Board was talking, they reached out to some of these organizations. I think there was one specific
Dan
member.
Provost
Yeah,
is the
thank
one that
you.
secured Victoria's Victory Foundation and Project Walk. So
Yeah.
he's the one that started those
I want to
conversations.
thank them. They're really trying to make sure that the new Planet Playground is accessible for all, and they're off to a great start.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other comment? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr.
Thank
Dean,
you.
Town Manager's report, please.
Okay. First of all, we have noticed that the retirement party for Hope Godino, who's our retiring library director, is going to be on the 21st of February from 2 to 6 at the library. So hopefully everybody can make that. And another event we have coming up is the Riverwoods Warrant and Budget Night. That is scheduled for February 27th, which is a Thursday, at 7 p.m. at Riverwoods. So we'll be attending that, and various staff members will be attending that as well to discuss the warrant with Riverwoods. Always an interesting and a fun night. The Stratham Industrial Park, we had a meeting last week with the representatives of the park. They are looking to enhance their sewer capacity at the park, and they've reached the cap of a 75,000 gallon per day agreement, and we are working with them. They actually have to do some internal discussions with the group as to how they might manage that on their own, because we just cap the 75,000 gallons at the top, and we don't cap it per individual user. So we're going to continue to work with them in that process. And we have the Assistant Town Manager and the Public Works Director actively engaged in that process as well. We had our first meeting on the winter parking ban this past week as well. Met with Jay Perkins, Chief Poulin, Assistant Town Manager Roy is involved in that as well. And we're working on that particular issue, so we'll have something later for you to absorb on that. And then the CSX meeting, that's the railroad. We are meeting with them. We did meet with them last week to discuss Park Street Bridge. The bridge, as we understand it, is owned by the state. They were actually out. We had to close the bridge because of some repair issues. The state was out inspecting it today, and we expect to hear more from them shortly. So we'll keep the board posted as far as that process and how that is going. We wrapped up a 91A request to Pickpocket Dam today. That was a request made by Attorney Robert Spann from Brown. And that's what I had for my report. I will be on vacation beginning tomorrow. I'll be out in Arizona until the 25th of February, so I'll be back next week, and Assistant Town Manager Roy will be acting in my stead.
Okay, great, thank you. Any changes since last time on grants, any of that with the ever-changing world in DC?
No changes that we know of for right now. We do have a couple of notations that there is one that's supposed to go before the Governor and Council on March 12th, but we don't have any other updates as of now, so we're in a holding pattern on that.
Okay.
On that piece.
Okay.
But we'll continue to keep you updated.
And with that ever-changing world of grants, it's just so important that committees like Rec Advisory and staff are working as hard as they can to also fundraise and
Absolutely.
donations is important work, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mr. Dean, if we can continue, unless there's something, significant that we'd need Mr. Stevens here, if you can continue to talk about that in your town manager's report, just so the board and the public are updated.
Will do.
Great. Okay, any questions for Mr. Dean?
No, just, I especially appreciate the last part of your report, and know that you'll just keep updating us as any new thing develops on that.
Thank you.
All right, with that, Selectwoman Belanger, maybe you could start with the Select Board Committee reports, please.
Yes, I had a site walk on February 6th at 8 o'clock that morning, and this was for Planning Board Case 2417, the Front Street, 112 Front Street. It was well-attended. It was cold. It was the first time I saw, so we have a proposed zoning amendment on our ballot for March. It was the first time I actually saw a visual of how, because that parcel would be included in that zoning change. So I did ask the developers if, when they do their condo documents, if that's something that they'll be including if it passes. And they really weren't sure, but they were going to look into it because I don't think they realized that zoning amendment was on the ballot for March. So, so there was that. And then we had a planning board meeting last Thursday on February 13th. Riverwoods was approved, but one of the things that came up during the approval process and the condition of approval was about limiting or no parking on the side of pickpockets. Now, I did notice I had to go to the court before I went to work this morning, so I came back from through Brentwood and that way. And there are a few no parking signs. So, Mr. Dean, do you have any thoughts on that condition of approval and if we can limit any further than where those two signs are?
I'll have to look into it.
Okay.
But I
So,
will do that
Yes.
with the town planner.
Thank you. And then the 112 Front Street project was on the agenda for that night, but they asked to be continued till February 27th. And then I had a Housing Advisory Committee meeting Friday morning on February 14th. We had legislative updates. We were touching on the parking and available options for that, just in general. We talked about foreseeable future funding for both federal and state and grants and how that may affect housing programs in the very near future. Of course, we're all up in the air on that. And then just on our next meeting, there's going to be a discussion on what we want to maybe focus on more for 2025.
Great.
And that is it for me. Thank you.
Selectwoman Gilman.
I actually have no committees to report. Lots of state things, which are really in my brain, and it's way full. I think most important to us are a couple of bills. There's a couple of housing bills that would mandate some zoning changes or mandate ignoring your zoning. Those are still in the works. They've had work sessions, but have not been voted on. My committee, municipal and county, had heard 12 different bills just this morning, or this afternoon, on different varieties of tax exemptions. Almost all of them failed because we're looking at our revenue and saying, we can't keep giving little bits and pieces and special entities a tax exemption. So that's been going on for a couple of years that we've slowly been saying no. There's one for taxing nonprofits at 25% of the value of the property. And that one failed. Everyone thought we would run out of nonprofits if we made them pay for the property that they need. There's a bill that's mentioned in the packet under the New Hampshire Municipal Association for a big change in ballots. and it asked for if a warrant article is amended at the deliberative session, that both the original warrant article and the amended article appear on the ballot. And then there's this big calculation over whichever one gets the most votes wins, and if they're tied, then you count the percentage of how they're tied, and if the amended ballot is higher percentage than the original ballot, then the amended ballot wins. And we don't count by percentages. We count the number of votes that you get. And tied votes are usually failures. So there's that. So I'm actually going to be speaking on the floor on that one sometime. I have this whole pile of things to do. The governor presented her budget for 2026, 2027. Everything's rosy, according to her presentation. There was a instance where she said they're really going to help out local communities and there's money for that. And then 10 minutes later, she said, we're going to put a lot of stuff down on local communities, and you can't tell from this what that is. Everybody heard both things, so we don't know, where it might be that she's planning to give more money to the retirement system, but we have to pay more for something else, so maybe it evens out. I don't know. So there's more to look at. If you subscribe to or just look for the General Court YouTube channel, there's a good presentation that has just started. She's just started working with the Finance Committee. And some questions that were asked that either got an answer that was fuzzy or didn't get answered, which is disappointing. So I think that's it. There's just everything's happening fast. And we're meeting every Thursday, which is unusual. There are more bills this year than ever. Mm-hmm. I had 61 in my own committee without having anything about housing.
Yeah, I have legislative update for New Hampshire housing. I have a Zoom meeting Friday morning, and they've actually shortened their agenda so that we can go to another Zoom meeting about the governor's budget proposal stuff.
Yeah, there is actually I can put out there's a budget tracking website that's coming up, hasn't been finished yet, that we can all take a look at. What the Finance Committee is saying, no, we're not doing that, no appropriation for that. We'll move some appropriations for this and that. The revenue side is really bleak. Over time, the legislature has reduced the business profits tax and the business enterprise tax, and so that revenue is no longer coming in. I don't know, and ARPA money was counted in the last 2 years, and we're not getting any more of that, and so the magic revenue, I don't know where that's coming from yet, except for maybe property taxes.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll be on our toes on this.
Absolutely, got to watch it.
For a long time. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the work that you and the other reps from Exeter are doing, and thank you for keeping us posted. We look forward to your updates.
Sometimes I would like to update you in more detail, but we went through 20 bills today, and not just the executive ones, and that's just my committee.
Yeah.
The Housing Committee did work sessions today that I would have liked to have been part of, or at least watched. They can be also watched on YouTube.
I have a day job. It's hard for me to be in all these places
they're recorded.
that I want to be.
They're recorded. So someday, maybe at crossover, I'll when we know which bills are actually going to make it to the Senate and vice versa.
Well, thank you for the update. The Swayze Park trustees did not meet this month. They will meet in March, and I had a tree committee meeting on last Tuesday, and they're preparing their locations for the trees that are budgeted should the budget pass, and also working with Parks and Rec with trees that are being included in the grant for Planet Playground, and the tree committee will play an active role on what types of trees and all of that. So always a fun meeting with the tree committee. So appreciated that. Correspondence, we have the memo from Public Works Director Cronin on the Park Street Bridge closing. And we have a letter from Unitil. Mr. Dean, could you speak to this? The Unitil, the vegetation management program?
Yes, Unitil does, they do vegetation management in the rights-of-way. So they will notify people that are impacted by this by door hangers.
Okay.
And that's what this is.
Okay, great.
They're actually putting out herbicides as part of that process, and they will notify people if they want to opt out.
Okay, thank you. We have the legislative bulletin from the NHMA, which is on zoning mandates.
I would really recommend people look at that. Some of the notifications in there are a week late because it comes, it
Sure.
comes out on Friday and we meet on Monday. But some of them are timely. You still have time to submit. And in fact, I've been watching the electronic submissions for different bills, and they come in after the meetings occurred, so after the hearing has occurred. So we've seen some increases, so keep putting them in there anyway.
I have to keep a running list and a date, so I don't submit more than once, right? To keep this so many.
Yeah.
It's hard to
It
keep.
is hard.
I do every Saturday. I'm just like,
No, I
I
try to
oppose.
do it as I'm going, so.
So looking at dates, sticking with our every other Monday, I just put together some dates to get through April for the board. Mr. Dean, if
Okay.
you want to take these down, and we'll run it by again next time with Selectman Chartrand and Selectwoman Cowan respectively. We've got March 3rd, March 17th, March 31st, April 14th, and April 28th. And then, of course, March 11th, which is the election. From 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., Tuck Auditorium.
okay.
Yes, and remember to look on the town website for any people who are registering to vote. Some laws have changed, so make sure you look on the town website. I don't want to quote them in case I mess something up, but it's
No,
important.
that's true. It is important. If you've moved, you may have a hard time, or if you've changed your name within a certain period of time. Take a look at that, or the Secretary of State's office. There's a statement about the changes that became official the day after the last general election, I believe.
Okay.
So no more
Especially for
affidavit
women
ballots.
who do not have the same last name.
Mm-hmm.
On their birth certificate, I'm starting to think I might just apply to the court to go back to my name, so I don't have to mess around with it anymore, but.
Well, and who has an active passport? Mine used to say
Mine-
Massachusetts
Oh.
for 10 years, right?
Well,
Anyway,
Yes.
there's no other business, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Thank you
Okay,
for
so
tuning in
we're
to
gonna-
Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.